All right, hello. Welcome to the Clarity Catalyst Movement preview party. I am so excited. We are going to kick things off because we only have 30 minutes together and I want to make every single second count. So I am really looking forward to teaching you all about the process of ditching decision fatigue, moving beyond pros and cons lists, getting out of analysis paralysis without adding to your workload. So let me just check the temperature here before we move forward. I want to start by asking you a question, and I want you to be completely honest with yourselves. You do not have to answer, but you're welcome to put it in the chat if you'd like. How many of you have researched a business decision before so thoroughly that you actually ended up more confused by the time you were done than when you started? Same, okay? Because here's the thing. That is a common part of the information paradox that we are currently experiencing. Psychologists have studied this, and it is also a direct reflection of another problem that we have, which is the success paradox. So, in the next 20 minutes, we're going to talk about what we can do about this. But first, here, let's just understand this because it's driving you insane. You've probably never thought about it in these ways before. The more successful you are, the more data you have access to, the harder the decisions begin to be to make. Okay, that's the way it goes. The decisions get bigger, the volume of information we have access to is greater than ever before, and simultaneously, it sucks our confidence out of our ability to make a decision, to make a judgment call. So, in the next 20 minutes, I am going to show you where the current gaps are in your decision-making process, the things that are working against you, especially in the way that mainstream business is taught and supported. I'm going to reveal a method that billion-dollar industry leaders have been using for quite some time. And I'm going to give you a taste of what's possible when you access your full intelligence, which I have more support around, and we'll talk about that. And for being here live, you are already going to get a party favor. Just woohoo! Sound the alarm. Like you're already getting my custom Energy of Q2 card reading report that I'm going to email to you after we're done here. And I have more gifts coming up because I want to celebrate you for taking this time and this focus on you and your business. So, before I dive in deeper, if we haven't already met, let me just say my promise to you is that I'm going to help you bridge the gap between your analytical, logical thinking and your inner wisdom. This isn't about either or, this is about utilizing both. And the reason that I want to share this with you is because, hi, I'm Elizabeth Watson. I'm known as the Success Clarity Catalyst because I've spent over 25 years studying what actually works in personal and professional development on both a business and a personal level as someone who has done it from both sides and supported it from both sides. I've helped hundreds of entrepreneurs at this point make more money by taking real time off and leading from an aligned place. As both a certified Biddy Tarot advisor and a master life coach, I've combined my experience with my professional intuitive empathic reading and my passion and study of neuroscience to create a practical process for turning intuition into in action. Say that 10 times fast, and I'm going to share it with you. So, let's talk about the decision fatigue crisis that we are facing en masse, because there are some pretty shocking statistics around this. It is not just you. So, the average executive or entrepreneur makes around 35,000 decisions per day. But here's what Harvard Business Review is not telling you. Your decision-making quality drops by 65% after just 4 hours of this constant choice. So you're operating from pure logic to keep adding on layers like metrics, data points, SOPs, performance monitoring. You check podcasts, articles, newsletters, courses, expert opinions, and you consume them all, and it's just too many voices. The brain cannot process unlimited data points. And so we end up stuck in a loop, right? And this is compounded by being women. The female leaders have an even bigger problem because we have conditioning. We've been told that we're too emotional or unpredictable for business. And so we compensate to prove that we deserve a seat at the table because we're We're hardwired to consider everyone else around us, their feelings, their needs. We are responsible for everyone's timetables, but we don't want to be emotional in business, so we compensate by being hyper rational. We must justify even having a voice and taking up space. And that is so damaging when we're trying to make decisions for our business, especially when we add on teams and there's client care and our families. This all creates a perfect storm in which we get stuck in perfectionism. And at its core, analysis paralysis, decision fatigue, it's all just perfectionism in disguise. It's this belief that if we just gather enough information, we will guarantee a right outcome. We're doing our due diligence, right? We're doing what we're supposed to do as a smart business leader. But here's the truth. There are no perfect decisions, only decisions we make with confidence and adjust as we go, right? Perfectionism is a trap. It's fear dressed up as professionalism because too much information is as dangerous or sometimes more so as too little. So let's talk about why that's true. There are so many hidden costs to the process of trying to make choices and decisions from these places of burnout, overwhelm, and analytics and logic alone. Analysis paralysis doesn't just delay decisions, it has a compounding cost. It comes in energy depletion. Every open decision loop in your brain is like another browser tab running in the background. It is constantly depleting your mental battery. Opportunity loss. While you're perfecting your research, opportunities are moving forward without you. They're not waiting. Your team is impacted as well as other relationships in your life. The people are not going to bring you situations, struggles, decisions if they know it's just going to trigger a research spiral, right? And perhaps most damaging of all is the self-trust erosion. The more you seek external validation, the less you train yourself to trust your own judgment, which creates a vicious cycle of doubt. It is just so damaging and it feeds itself. It's the snake eating its own tail, right? The less you trust yourself, the more you seek outside. The more you seek outside, the less you trust yourself. So that catch 22, super fun. So here's the truth about what successful leaders will actually do. Do you remember these little red envelopes? Am I dating myself here? Well, here's the thing. Reed Hastings has been quoted as saying he takes pride in making as few decisions as possible. The reason we went from Blockbuster to Netflix and chill is because of intuition. He famously ignored all the expert opinions that tell him the average household at the time did not have the capacity to stream movies. And he knew that that was where people were heading. So he set Netflix up to be ahead of the technological curve. And as a result, they are now one of the biggest, they're eating up other studios at a rapid rate. And then, does your phone have keypad? Do you have buttons on it anymore? Nope. That's because Steve Jobs ignored market research and focus groups who said they preferred buttons. He knew that people were going to want touchscreen technology, and he created demand before the market even realized they wanted it. He's quoted as saying, "Have courage and follow your heart and intuition." He's done it repeatedly with the company, and we know where that's taken Apple. And of course, so amazing, she needs only one name, Oprah. She is a powerhouse. But she was told initially that a woman would never be successful in daytime TV, and a woman of color absolutely would never make it as a talk show host. She has over and over again defied the logic. She was told by market analysts that the investment in Weight Watchers was absolutely going to be a money hole, a total flop, worst possible decision. And she made over $400 million with that. She said, "Every right decision came from trusting my gut," and she has proven it. These were not just lucky guesses. These were not just ignoring expert opinion or numbers. These were, in part, these people accessing their brain's most sophisticated processing system. And that, my friends, is a part of the two-step process decision making capability of your brain. It has both the analytical and the intuitive. And only one side of that gets support in our business, which means You're running your business through about 0.0004% of your capacity. So it is a wonder that we are burning out and overwhelming ourselves at staggering rates when this is the reality that we're facing. So let's talk about it, shall we? There are two truths of intuition. I want to just deal with the elephant in the room because I know that this might be hard for some people to process. Truth number one is that intuition is a way that we connect with the universal law of divine oneness that says all is one and one is all. It is how we access the collective unconscious, right? This pool of generational, ancestral, and global information. It's a language that comes through as symbols and sensations. And so it is not always very clear, which is why people struggle with it sometimes. But connecting to and exercising our intuition allows us to feel expansive and guided and limitless in our possibilities, innovative in our approach. Connecting it directly with our brain's problem solving skills is where we truly start to shine. Intuition will feel expansive, fear will feel contractive. So that is why this is really important to bring in. Because the other truth, simultaneously also true, is the neuroscience of this. Your subconscious brain processes 11 million pieces of information per second, whereas your conscious mind can only process 40. That means that the pros and cons lists that you're making, all of these metrics and data and performance research is only tapping, like I said, less than 1% of what your brain is actually capable of doing. It is how we access the subconscious catalog because every experience, decision, outcome that we've ever experienced is being cataloged in the subconscious. And your intuition is how you pull that out. That is how you see the connections. That is why your gut talks to you. Because when you have a gut feeling, you're accessing that database of collected experience and knowledge, and you are feeling it faster than your brain can articulate it to give it logic. So it is really both of these things. But when we talk about it from a Webster's dictionary perspective, intuition is a sense of knowing that isn't related to traditional forms of gathering information. So it is your sixth sense. It is gut feelings, it's deja vu, it's good and bad vibes off of people. It's how you know a client isn't a great fit or that is the person that in the networking room you need to talk to. These are the things that make a big difference in your business. And when you integrate analytics and intuition together, those as most effective leaders do, you don't choose between them, you use both. Logic will generate your options, intuition chooses the best one. Logic handles implementation and action, intuition guides timing. Okay? So let's talk about how to use this. Let me pause this for a second here. So there are varying degrees with which we can work with intuition. Anything from random hits to deep intuitive reading sessions are possible with your business. So, if you want to know what this looks like, it is very different for each and every person. But what we're going to look at today is how to utilize a process across all the types, whether you're working with cards or runes or meditation or automatic writing or anything else. I have an exhaustive list that I can share with you. But here's the thing every way that you express and practice your intuition is going to be unique to you. We all access our own subconscious in our own ways. Exploring different methodologies, different processes is how you're going to find the right fit for you. And then practice is going to make it feel more integrated, more confident in your process. So, the best way, if you are just starting out and utilizing intuition in your business, is practice with low stakes things first. Like, should I send the email on Monday or Wednesday? Like, should I go to this networking meeting? Or what's the best thing to bring to the table when I have this elevator pitch? Avoid analyzing in the moment. Just be with it. I have a whole process around this that I share deeper in the workshop that we're getting a preview of. But don't feel pressure to remember every detail. What you need to know is going to stick with you, and your subconscious is going to access that data when it is necessary and feed it to you in a way that will get your attention if you're listening for it. So remember that this is a practice makes confident process. I won't say perfect because we're avoiding perfectionism here, but the more you work with it, the more comfortable and confident you will get. So, the way that we're going to talk about working with it right now is not the actual process. That is way too much for what we have left. We're halfway through our time together. I am not going to give you something that you can't do anything with. I'm going to talk about the overarching use of focus tool, like how to frame it in a way that no matter what process you're using, you're going to get the best usable information out of it. So, you're going to give yourself a clear focus. This is, I mean, whether we're prompting AI or working with a client, we have to have some form of focus, right? Any powerful reading is going to require clear questions or themes to frame the messages that you receive around. Otherwise, it is just an open channel and you're getting the ocean's worth of data with nothing to filter it through so that you can understand what you're getting. So, here's some things that you need to consider when you're creating these framing questions. You set the intention, but make it very clear. Okay, the clearer your question, the clearer your insights. And the next thing we're going to see is a framework. So don't start going down the rabbit hole and trying to conceptualize questions yet. I'm going to help you give a jump off there. But you'll see that the clearer you state your question, the clearer the insight and the resulting action steps will be. This is really a different way of working with it than a lot of people have approached before if they're not in the professional space. So do avoid predictive questions. I know I framed a few of them as yes or no, but here's future casting uh, creates all kinds of resistance in your brain. If the goal is to integrate intuition and analytics, let's not stress the logic brain out by trying to predict the future. And an argument could be made, you have free will and you have only so much control around your business. There are external factors. So predictive questions, trying to read the future, not really going to help you here. Instead, you're going to frame it around something that's more open-ended. Use yes no questions judiciously. They are a full stop, and you're not necessarily going to get what you need out of the guidance from a yes no, like why no, why yes. Those things matter. And there's a lot more to know than just yes, this is your right path. No, now is not the time. You'll get that if you ask the question correctly. So consider not only what you need to know, but what would be most helpful going forward towards your ideal outcome. If the goal is to get to a certain place, let's frame the guidance we get to move us in that direction. Trust me, the universe will make it clear if that's not the right direction. It will shut those doors down super fast. This is not going to put you on the wrong path. But we may as well continue moving forward in the most expeditious way possible. So create a list of options and then revise those questions so that they resonate most strongly with you. Because when you feel excited to sit down and do some intuitive work with your business, you are going to stick with it and you're going to do that practice step. So, as I said, you want to keep these questions open ended. You want to have a dialogue with your subconscious. You want to really allow for the deepest and most aligned information to come through in any way that it's going to, and it will surprise you. And then review the guidance that you receive, whatever hits come through, whatever sensations, feelings, or messages against the question again. That gives you, once more, it gives you a really clear indication of what it is that you're being shown, what you intuitively know. So here are the questions. You ready? This is you can screenshot this when we get the recording. You can come back to it anytime. But these are powerful question starters. These are jump off points. And you'll see that they keep very open-ended. We explore all of our question words with this. It's very quick way of making sure that the guidance you get is going to move you in the right direction. So things like, what do I need to know in order to? How can I best achieve? Remember the goal framing that we talked about. What are my best next steps to? This is one of my favorite ones because we get so caught up in where we're at right now that it can sometimes be difficult to know which of the 15 possible next processes in the entrepreneurial journey we need to do. How can I prepare for or learn from or evolve into? This one is so nice when you have a more like Q1, Q2 review kind of thing or setting goals. Where can I find support for? What do I need to release in order to? What am I missing regarding? How can I best show up for my clients, family, self? And what can I learn from this? This one is so nice because it takes the sting out of perceived failures or, setbacks. Because there's always data, right? We know that to be true. There's always something to learn from what we're experiencing. And once you have these questions, like once you've picked your question and you really solidly locked it down and you feel good about it, remember to keep it in mind while you're doing your intuitive practice and return to it while you're evaluating what you got out of it. So make sure you get a copy of this. Don't try and write it all down. Screenshot it or come back in the replay, okay? So that is the good stuff. That's just a piece, it's a teeny little piece of what I can share with you. But here's what becomes possible. Here's what we do after we work with it. The integration is where things really start to get interesting, okay? Because logic plus intuition equals exponential results. You have both for a reason. They are both a part of your decision-making process. And when you utilize them together, that is when you stop fighting yourself. That's when you stop filter. Like one person said, it's like trying to filter the internet through a straw when you use only logic and analytics versus allowing your inner knowing to come into play. So logic generates the options, intuition picks the right one, logic handles implementation, next steps, and intuition guides the timing for when. Let them inform each other. They do not have to conflict. I'm not telling you to throw the numbers out of the window. I can't do that. I'm a Virgo. But when they come together, it's a beautiful synthesis that creates your intuitive edge, your clarity edge that is so necessary, especially in an AI age, because you can get regurgitated data until the cows come home, until your tokens run out. But when you implement your inner knowing, that is when your own sovereignty comes into play again. When you bring it back to what you're good at, what you can leverage, what is right for you and your business and your clients. And what becomes possible when you utilize this process in the fully integrated way that we're talking about? Speed. So decisions now take minutes instead of weeks or hours instead of days. Then you get more confident, especially as you practice. You end that second guessing cycle that always has you seeking yet another research, one more person to talk to. You get the energy back that you are constantly draining into trying to make these choices, trying to filter all of that through the research. And you get better results. The outcomes are now so aligned to you. You are using your full spectrum of intelligence, and it just makes a world of difference. This is just a piece, and it's not just about making decisions faster. It's about becoming the kind of leader who trusts herself completely because your team's going to notice and follow your example. Your clients are going to notice and they're going to get better results. And your family and all of the people around you are going to notice and they're going to get the person that they love back. So, what we just did, that's just a teeny peek. It's just a teeny little peek of how this can give you the edge in your business. If decision fatigue is costing you time, energy, and opportunities, like we just discussed that it is, this is your chance to change that forever. And for those of you who are thinking, well, that's great, Elizabeth, but I already don't have time and I'm burnt out, then to you I say, let's get some of that back. Let me give you a tool that is another party favor that you can utilize. This is my Clarity Matrix, and it is a snapshot tool that helps you analyze your current energetic ROI in your business. So we have 24 hours a day. No productivity hack will ever change that. But what you do in your day is either charging you up or draining your battery. And this is going to show you that. And on average, people who utilize this reclaim 5 to 10 hours per week just because they optimize where they're putting their energy and the ROI they're getting out of it versus the opportunity costs. And you may just find that that time opens up the ability to spend with your intuition and practicing it until it becomes your go-to tool. So there's so much more I want to share with you, and that is why we're going to talk about the workshop. Okay, this was a preview, this was a sneak peek. There's so much more. And if you notice that your revenue is up, your clients are happy, and you should feel proud of everything you've built, and also you're still crying and exhausted on a regular basis, that's who I work with. It's the six-figure female founder who is successful and exhausted because both of those words matter. They've built the real business, the revenue, the clients, a team, but somehow the bigger everything gets, the harder every decision feels. And they're up at 3 a.m. running scenarios through their brain. The pros versus cons list just balance out. They've tried business coaching, masterminds, every proven system, and nothing's worked for them. And it's not that they're broken. Because, like we talked about, most business advice misses the fact that our effort level is not going to change the brain filtering everything through a fraction of its capacity, right? The 11 million bits of intuition versus 40 of analytics. Is it any wonder that this is not sustainable? So, I show established female founders how to integrate both their analytical and intuitive intelligence so that you can make confident decisions in minutes instead of weeks and get your life back in the process. One of my clients, for example, she was on track to make seven figures and she was crying every night by 8 p.m. because the decisions kept getting bigger. She had tried everything and she was ready to sell her business, honestly. And now she takes full weeks off every month. She recently texted me that she feels like she's doing business wrong now because it's too easy. So her team is booking her sales calls, filling up her calendar, filling up her revenue. Came back is actually this is a typo. She took her week off. She came back. She had one conversation and signed a $50,000 client because she was in that refreshed, confident place. So I have a 3-hour workshop coming up live on April 21st. There are 15 seats left. This is where you bring a real business decision or situation that you're currently sitting with, and you will leave with it made and resolved. Most events explain beautifully what your problem is, and then they charge you to solve it. This skips that gap entirely. This is highly experiential. You work it live with my guidance, and you walk out with the framework that you've already used and experienced. So, general admission tickets are $94, and I won't run this again for another couple of months because this is a highly impactful container and I need to do justice to it. But because you are here at the party, another party favor that I am delighted to give you is that you get access to early bird pricing. So if you check out the link there, you can use the code PARTYFAVOR30 to get 30% off of GA or VIP tickets. And VIP has access to the replay and the ability to volunteer for spotlight coaching in the real time. So I work with you directly on your decision. And there is also a swag bag. There's some goodies. One of them is my Clarity Edge kit. It is the natural progression of what we talked about, and it's a customized kit for you using it. There's also an amazing thing from my own publisher. It is both her and audiobook, Author Your Way, which comes with a special access to her incredible book map program, and a personal brand audit from another one of my amazing colleagues that I am just now getting the information on. I'm going to share more about that this week. So let's connect on socials or email if you want to be one of the first to find out about what all that is. Okay, so the real question now is not, does intuition have a place in your business? I hope you realize that it does. The real question is, if this resonated with you, are you ready to make intuition your clarity edge? Are you ready to be innovative? Are you ready to be ahead of the curve in everything that's coming up in business and be future proof? Because your intuition is absolutely a component that is necessary in that. If so, I am so excited that you shared this time with me. I'm so excited for you to take the question framework and see it in real time for yourself. And then, if you're excited to be a part of this, check out invite.yourclarityedge.com to see what the workshop is like. Check out the tickets. There's only, like I said, only 15 seats left because it's a very intimate container, and I want to provide the best support for everyone who's in the room. And again, you'll get 30% off of the early bird pricing for Party Favor 30. And remember that your intuition is not just a nice feeling. What you experience with it is what is possible for the future and what we're moving into as a collective. So, are you ready to claim your clarity edge? I hope so, because the Clarity Catalyst movement is waiting for you, and I am so excited to welcome you to it. Thank you for being here. We're going to end right on time.